Hey gamers, today we're going to look at Gisborne. Let's check it out. Alright, to set up the game, all players will start in this little position here on the bridge here. The game plays up to 5. There's a yellow player here as well, but I only have 4 players out here. Each player will get their own little scoring bin. This is where they'll put all their victory points in. This is really cool. You also have a stack of the travel tiles that you'll be placing from start to finish. Of course, they won't be this close together. You'll have a stack of map tokens here, which when anyone lands by exact count on this square with a little scroll, you take one of these and you would put it in your little victory point crate or whatever this is. But anyway, each player is going to start the game with 5 cards dealt randomly from the deck and 1 tent card. Everyone will have a tent card. And so, cards have different values on them, the lowest being the bronze ones, the middle ones being the silver ones, and the highest ones being the gold ones, which can go up to 5. And so, on your turn, you can play as many of these cards up to 5 as long as they are the same color. For instance, I could not play this and this because it is a silver and a gold. However, I could play 2 silvers. So what would happen is that each player simultaneously is going to put out the card or cards that they want to play on their turn. And let's say all these players here, they played out these 4 cards here, or these different stacks here. This player actually got 2. So it start off with red. Red flipped over his card. He is moving 2 spaces. So red would go 1, 2. Flip it over to green. Green's moving 5 spaces. And so they go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we go to the next player. We'll flip those over. They all flip them over at the same time. Blue player is going 4 spaces. Now, if ever you land on a space where there's someone else there, you just move to the next available space on there. And then finally, let's say the orange player, he decided to camp. Now, what happens after this is people are going to get cards determining on what type of cards they played. For instance, for any copper that you play, it doesn't matter how many, you will receive 2 cards from the deck. Whenever you play silver, you will receive, and it shows you here, 1 card from the deck. Doesn't matter how many silver you play. He played 2 silver. He could play 5 silver, but he's only getting 1 card in return. So he gets 1 card from the deck. Gold gives you no cards from the deck. You can see there. So no matter how much gold you play, you do not get any extra cards. Of course, pitching your tent, you would get 2 cards, and you get to take this card back into your hand, whereas all the other previously played cards would go away into the discard pile. Let's put the discard pile there and give him 2. Now, there's another decision that has to happen prior to beginning the next round. Each player has to decide whether they're going to keep their cards or put them in their little score tracker here. For instance, this player may say, I want to keep this card, so then he puts it in his hand. The next player goes, I may want to just bank both of these and put them in here for victory points. If you look on the back of the cards, they're worth 1 victory point each. That's what he does. Unfortunately, he doesn't have any cards left, but he does have some victory points. And the last player says, I think without looking at them, remember, he cannot turn them over. Once he's looked at them, he can't bank them as victory points. So he looks at these and says, you know what, I'll put 1 in the bank and I'll keep the other. And so then you keep going to the next round, Now, of course, if let's say green player were to move 3, you go 1, 2, and then you have to flip over the next one here, snap it on there, and then go 3. He'd finish out his movement. Now, there are some special little icons on the board that can let you do different things. They can help or hurt you. For instance, this one has a little village on it. If someone were to end his turn in a village, he may play as many cards up to 5, and it doesn't matter what color they are. So he could play 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and move, what's that, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Whoa, a lot of points on there. That'd be a big move on him. But only when you start on a village can you play up to 5 cards of different colors. Other special tokens would be this one. This is swamp spaces here. If ever your player starts in a swamp, then their next movement is rounded down by half. So if someone would play this, instead of moving 4, they would only move 2. Now you're thinking, man, why would someone be dumb enough to land a swamp? Well, remember, like I said in the game, if you were supposed to land on a spot that was previously occupied, you would have to go, like orange wanted to land here, but he couldn't because blue was there. Then he has to go 1 forward, and he is in the swamp. Oh man, no good. Another one they have here is wolves. Whenever you land on any one of these little wolf tiles, you have to give up one of your little map tokens you may have collected. Now, if you don't have any map tokens, then there's no penalty there. The next one is a shortcut. If anyone ends their turn here, they may go ahead and put their pawn and move them across the bridge here, basically skipping a few spaces and getting closer to the end. Finally, there's the river. This one's really bad. Whenever you cross it, you have to go down to 4 cards, and one of those cards is going to be your tent card, because remember, your tent card, once you play it, you pick it up. It never leaves your hand. So your tent card and basically 3 other cards, you have to get down to that when you cross the river. Guess you lost a lot of supplies when that happened. Now, the game's going to end when a player reaches the last space on the board, and then they move up here to the first position. They will take the 4-point marker, put that in their chest here, and then if that was the first player, everyone would get another turn, or if that was the last player, that would end the game. And then you would add up all your victory points from maps that you had. Map token victory points can be 1, 2, or 3. These are both 3. That would have been great if I had had those. Of course, you'd add up any cards that you have in your crate here, and whoever has the most victory points wins. Final thoughts. What do I think about the game? Well, to my knowledge, I am the only person to do a video review of this game. I don't really like written reviews because sometimes some people have a hard time describing the gameplay, or I have a hard time understanding what they mean by gameplay. And so I saw the pictures and I thought, why not? It's super cheap. I think I got this for like $10. And the pieces are really nice. I mean, there's good chunky wooden meeples, and the tiles are really tough. So it's definitely worth $10. The gameplay is light. Like I said, you're playing cards, moving along this path. You know, you do want to, trailblaze through there, because maybe you'll know where the scrolls are, or it maybe helps to stay a little bit behind because you can see what's coming up, but you don't want to fall too far behind or you won't even finish. And this is one big thing here that I have to mention. I could be wrong, but I think the game is broken. Meaning, what is to stop me from camping every turn and just taking those 2 cards and throwing them in my victory point thing? While everyone else is traveling, wasting their time mapping out, New Zealand, I'm just sitting there camping, making victory points. That doesn't make sense to me. And now I only have an American translation of the rules, but I don't see where there's anything against just banking points and just sitting there. So it's just a bunch of people just pitching tents and making victory points. So for that reason, we came up with a house rule that at the end of the game, whoever is furthest away, everyone who did not make it to the end, they're going to lose victory points per space, from the finish line, which could be a lot of victory points. All right, and so that would encourage people to at least, be almost finished through the map. The first time we ever played, I figured that out toward the end, and I moved a little bit, but I started just camping a lot and just banking on my points, and I killed first place, and I was dead last, in the race to get to the end. And we kind of figured that out and said, yeah, this is kind of broken a little bit. So then we tried it again with our revised house rule, and it scared everyone to start moving. Hardly anyone was banking points, though you do want to bank points in this game. There is a balance to it. Now, if I'm wrong about like I said, I only have the American translation. I know someone in the comments is going to tell me. But other than that, I like the game. If you think that's a good house rule for you and you want a cheap game that's very light, then maybe this is for you. All right, gamers, that's all the time I have for now. Hey, until next time, game on.